My name is Martin McGuire, and I'm with the, hey, Ray, how you doing? I'm with the Office of E-Learning with ITS. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I started off about 14, 15 years ago at Kelly High School with Ray Buniak over here, about 15 years ago, and I've been working for CPS ever since. I started off at Kelly High School where I managed at the time, it was a state-of-the-art media distribution system that allowed for cable, internet, laser disc, VHS, DVD, all to be pumped directly into a classroom kind of on demand, close to as on demand as you can get. That was 14, 15 years ago. That system is still in place. It's still operating the way it should. When I was at Kelly, working with Mr. Buniak and a few others at Kelly High School, I was introduced to video conferencing and kind of changed the direction of my career. So I was actually given a challenge of working on this video conferencing system that was in a classroom. So they gave me a room, put this huge video conferencing system in it, and said, let's see what you can do with this. If you can look and find somebody else out there in the world who's using this kind of technology, and let's see what we can do about getting classrooms in here and actually bringing experiences to the classroom. So we started doing some interesting stuff, working with zoos, universities, with speakers throughout the U.S., and it went really well. And I did that for about 7 years. Then I got a knock on the door from the principal-to-be from Walter Payton College Prep. And they said, we're building this new facility, and we want to have these type of technologies. You seem to have a good handle on what you're doing so far. So would you mind coming and working with us at Payton? And, well, I lived less than 5 minutes away from Kelly High School, so it was just fantastic. I'd get up, have breakfast, go and get a coffee, be into work, 2-3 minutes, I'd be at work. And going to Payton, the biggest pain was going to be the drive. And I really needed to decide, do I really want to go all the way the other side of the city to work and do the exact same thing that I'm doing at Kelly? And then I said, I'll do it as long as you're committed to the technologies, as long as you're committed to not really putting the handcuffs on us, because this is a new technology. We need to be out there and we need to be really experimenting with what we can do with this technology. As long as I have those type of freedoms, I think I'm going to take this opportunity, make a change. So I ended up going to Payton. I worked at Payton for about 5 years. My colleague, Louis Palacios, we started at Payton together. Been friends for a very long time. And we started a program at Payton for video conferencing. And it was a state-of-the-art lab that not only connected to every classroom within the building, but connected to our recital hall. And very extravagant, and worked very well. And it was basically our idea. We actually put this idea and this design together for a video conferencing lab that would reach more than just the lab that the actual equipment was sitting in. It would reach every classroom. For big events, we can actually bring in large groups of people into our recital hall that seats 400 people and have video conferencing there. And we did some really fantastic things. And Louis is still there now and is probably one of the leaders in the nation doing video conferencing, not just with other schools here in Chicago, but schools around the U.S. and international connections. He's the guy that's doing it right now.
He absolutely is. In fact, Ogden School in 2 locations is piggybacked off of your servers at Payton, and so Louis has set us up with all of that. Thank you again for years helping us with our video conferencing center and using, again, your facilities as the transitional point.
And if Louis weren't in the room today, I would take all the credit for it, but since he's here, I'll share a little bit for now. So what we're here to talk to you about today are a couple different programs. The first program, many of you may know, we've been having a little bit of trouble getting onto our network connection back at CPS. So I have Albert, who's working in the back, trying to get a connection up for Safari Montage. Anybody here familiar with Video On Demand, CPS On Demand, Safari Montage? Okay. It's a video on demand server that brings thousands upon thousands of video resources, still imagery, maps, different language tracks, all state-aligned media to your classrooms for use within your classroom. And we thought it would be kind of neat to show you a little bit of that today, because working within a Sister Cities program, remember all those maps that you used to have in the classrooms that you would pull down, and maybe 3 classrooms had them. All those maps have been digitized and are now available on Safari Montage. When you talk about maybe you may do a connection like we did once to a school in Iraq, and we actually would bring up the map of Iraq, we'd watch videos about Iraq, we'd talk about Iraq, and then we would actually make that connection to the school in Iraq. And I think I must have been 4 years ago? Yeah. 5, I can't even remember how long ago it was. But what we did was, prior to the start of the war, we found a school in Iraq that was interested in working with us in a video conference. So we worked with Channel 7, a couple schools in Cincinnati, and we connected our students to a group of students in downtown Baghdad. And at the time, our students were talking to them about the pending war and what their thoughts were over there. And you could really see the stress and frustration on the students from Iraq. And here in Chicago, not so much. You could see that they were somewhat distanced from the events that were taking place in the world. Once, I guess, our current president said, what was the famous statement? Mission accomplished. I think we connected, 2 weeks after that, we connected to this school again, except there was no more school. The school was gone. A third of the students were still in downtown Baghdad. And what Channel 7 did for us, working with Channel 7, they actually made a connection for us from the roof of a girl's home who lived in downtown Baghdad. So we had this panoramic view of Baghdad and tanks and satellites. I guess as soon as the fall of Saddam happened, satellites went up instantly all over the place for television, which wasn't allowed before, apparently. We got to talk to the students that didn't know where they would be going to school, the next day, the next year. Students didn't know where their classmates were or if they were okay. I tell you, it was probably the most moving video conference experience that we've ever had. And it was just fantastic for our students. And it got a lot of publicity. The second time it got a lot of publicity. Channel 7, it was in a paper, it was a pretty big deal. But up until recently, video conferencing is pretty much segmented to a lab within a school. And that's if the school could afford video conferencing, right? If you're a brand new school, like Peyton, was put into the Capitol, when they built the building, that was part of the cost, right? All the wiring, everything that was needed. But acquiring video conferencing, I know Ogden recently did, it's quite costly. And most people have to raise a lot of funds before they can do this. Although the cost of video conferencing has come down, it is still very limited to who has access to video conferencing. And video conferencing is usually a lab somewhere in a school or somewhere in a district that people go to connect to somebody else that is lucky enough to have a lab in their school or in their district. What we're going to show you here today is basically a tool that is going to kind of level the playing field a little bit for you all. No longer will you need to have video conferencing equipment at your school. What you will need is pretty much what I'm going to show you here today, which is a network connection, a projector, a camera, and a microphone. Okay? I think this camera, it's probably about 4 or 5 years old, but it's about $200. The microphone's about $100, and that's even if you want to use that microphone. I think earlier today I'm using the microphone built into the camera, and a network connection with the projector. Most schools have at least one projector somewhere in the building, right? So what we're going to show you here today is some of the things that we're currently doing. Now, Safari Live, this is only the second time that we're presenting this. We've been working with a vendor on this tool for about 2 years, and it's been a while. We've actually piloted this tool with a group of students from Chalmers, Pope, and what's the other one, Albert? Oh, he's not there. Brighton Park. So 3 schools where students actually from 6th grade class get together. They actually produce poetry. They perform poetry in competition with one another. Okay? The winner of that poetry competition then, using the video conferencing that I'm going to show you here today, they video conference one another, perform their poems in competition. The winner of that competition then goes up against a group of students from New York who did the same thing. Group of students out, different schools in New York competing against one another. The winners compete against each other. We've competed twice in the past 2 years that the competition's been in existence. We haven't won yet. We're getting close. But New York has been doing it a lot longer than we have. So we're getting close. We're getting close. But it's been a successful pilot. There were some major issues with the tool in regards to audio in the beginning that I think we resolved. Recently, Kenwood Academy, anybody here from Kenwood? Kenwood Academy reached out to us and said, we need some help accessing Skype. And we said, well, why would you want to access Skype? We want a video conference with another school in Philadelphia, and we want to use Skype to do it, and we want to have a presidential debate. This was before the election. So what we did was we said, well, we may have a solution that is a little bit better than Skype that we can use, that we don't have to unblock anything and make all these letters and requests to get Skype unblocked. We'll use the tool that we're using for Poetry Slam. We think you might like it. So we showed him the tool. He was very interested. We set up. About a day before the presentation, he said, oh, by the way, I've got 2 other schools that are going to join us. And I said, okay, well, what, are they coming to Kenwood? Oh, no, one's in Philadelphia. One school was in Delaware. The school they were originally supposed to connect to was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So now we went from making 1 connection to having to make 4 connections. And I'm going to show you what that connection looks like, a little piece of it today. And this was the first time that we actually went off network to do something like this. Give me a second. Here we go. Now, the tool that you're going to see here, I'm already logged into the tool. Okay, so you're aware. But when we actually do video conferences, web conferences, we can actually record the sessions. So what I'm going to show you here today, I'm going to go into the Kenwood Academy session. I'm going to let it load up. So if you use this tool in the future, you can actually record what you're doing and maybe show it to parents, maybe your LSC later. Now, it's a very long recording, so I'm going to just kind of jump in somewhere here, show you what it looks like.
Like I said before, Obama is more geared to the needs of the people. 75 working Americans lack employer-based retirement plans. Obama and Biden want to ensure that if you're working for somebody, that they have to give you retirement plans and benefits that you receive and that you deserve. And if the employment businesses already have the retirement fund set up, he wants to ensure that you're receiving the full fund. And also, if they do not, or if they may not give you as much as you receive, he wants to set up IRA direct deposit accounts, ensuring that.
Just want to show you a quick clip of that. When we made the connection, none of the sites had even cameras. So I think the one site that you were listening to went to Walmart the night before and bought a $14 webcam, and that's what they were using. Okay, so this can go you're going to see in a little while that some of the laptops that now come out, especially the Macs, have the built-in camera and microphone. You can use that and just video conference one-on-one with somebody, or you can actually connect it to a projector, a camera, and a microphone and actually involve the entire classroom. Okay, I think that what this means for the Sister Cities program as well as other programs in CPS is that we're making the world accessible to our classrooms. With a tool like this, all you need is a network connection. You no longer have to go to a lab in your school building or in your region. Everything is brought directly to you. And as long as you have a projector, microphone, camera, you're able to make that connection. It was very difficult to come here today, for example, okay? Trying to find parking, it's very cold. The streets are very icy around here for some reason. I had to lug my equipment only a block. Albert wasn't as lucky. I think he had to walk 5 blocks with his big case of equipment to set up here today. So imagine, if you will, professional development being delivered in this manner, what I'm about to show you. I've got a friend of mine, a coworker, Robin Gonzalez, who's waiting at ETF. How many people have been to Elizabeth Training Center? Okay. So the Elizabeth Training Center, very difficult to find parking, right? You go over there, winter weather, it's very difficult. She's over there now. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect to her now, and rather than show you recordings of what has taken place in the past, I want to show you what can be done in live real time. So the demonstration that we're about to show you is not going to be done from me here. It's going to be done from Miss Gonzalez, Robin Gonzalez, who's at ETF right now. Okay? So give me a second here. We're going to connect to her. Now, when you're going to use this tool, my office and Robin and myself manage the tool. All you would need to do is schedule a session, okay? You would receive an email that gives you a link. You click on that link takes you directly into the tool. That's all you need to do. Open your email, click on the link. As long as your cameras are hooked up, you'll go right into the tool. I'm going to back up. I'm getting in a little different way here. Got a couple different things set up. And you'll see how easy it is to connect and how simple it is to video conference using this tool. I agree. I'm not sure what I agreed to, but I agreed. Okay, there's Miss Gonzalez. Let me say. Now, what I'm going to do, put on the microphone for just a second. before I actually join, because especially when you're dealing with multiple sites, you want to make sure that you go in and you immediately tell everyone who you are. So I'm going to say University. Oh. Okay, change my name so that everybody knows who I am. As you can see up top here, if you could see that, Chicago Public Schools ETF. I've got another computer hooked up to this right now, so here we are. All I need to do to actually start my broadcast is come over here and say, Start Broadcast. It will ask me, do you want us to allow your camera in on the session? If you have a camera. You don't even need to actually have a camera to be involved in a session. You just be involved via audio. We have chat features that you'll see, so you can actually chat. If you just want to be someone that's a fly on a wall, you just want to eavesdrop on what's going on, you can actually log on and watch a session and not actually have to be involved in the session. Okay, so I'm going to say allow. There we are. Now let me say hello. Hello, Ms. Gonzalez. How are you today?
Hello, Marty McGuire. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. This is our second session. We're just about to begin. I'm going to turn it over to you now. If you'll take us through the tool. And we haven't shown them Safari Montage, but we'll try and show that at the end today. So take it away. It's all yours.
Thank you, Marty. I'm really pleased to join you guys today. I'm here at Elizabeth Training Facility with Chicago Public Schools. And I'm going to take you through the tool, show you some things the tool is capable of doing, as well as some things that we've done with Safari Live. First thing I'm going to do is minimize that chat screen and show you some different settings as far as the video. What you first saw are the 3 thumbnail-sized videos, but we can increase the size of that video significantly. I'm going to go all the way to a larger video. And as you can see, this gives you more of a full-room video conferencing type video for the presentation. We can make that a little bit smaller so that we can see everyone. So I'm going to change that back to a medium so that we can see everyone that's participating today. So this is an example of using this as a video conferencing tool. What you will notice, however, is that there are a lot of things in Safari Live, in CPS Live, that, oh, I just saw someone, hello. There's a lot of things in the tool that are different than traditional video conferencing. I feel like you guys are doing the shaky cam right now. So once you stabilize that, I guess I'm taking a look at everyone in the room. Some things that you don't typically see on video conferencing.
Actually, Robin?
Yeah.
Last time around, I actually passed around the laptop so people could see.
Well, now that's fun. That's a good idea. And, you know, passing the laptop around, that really is a good jumping off point for the next point that I was going to make, which is that this is different. Well, that's a familiar face there. Hello. This is different than what you might traditionally think of when you think of video conferencing. Video conferencing for so many years was a specific room, an actual lab, fixed location, and very limited. Limited in its availability because of how much it cost to put a room like that together. Limited because it really was just in one room, and so only so many people would ever use a resource like that. With the type of system that we have today, it's an any-place, anytime solution. Marty was able to take this tool out to the University of Chicago, and just with a network connection, here we are connecting. He probably mentioned some different projects that we've done. I know that you guys took a look at a video, or a recording rather, of a project that we recently completed over at Kenwood, which was a debate. And we were able to connect schools that had never used video conferencing before. In fact, one of the schools that participated in Santa Fe, New Mexico, they didn't even have a camera. They had to go out the night before to their local Walmart and purchase a webcam and a mic for under $50, and just by doing that, they were doing their very first video conferencing experience, and it went wonderfully. This is great to get a shot of everybody, and this is really fun, and it just shows you the idea that this can be used in so many ways. So the fact that you're passing it around the room, picture, oh, and here's my coworker, she just came into shot with a nice wave here. The fact that you guys are passing it around, think about the implications of taking this on a field trip and taking it around and being able to use a wireless connection, and you go to different zoo exhibits and different things. That's where video conferencing has gone. It's gone into the classroom, it's gone outside of the school, and it's certainly left the lab environment, which opens it up to all different kinds of possibilities.
Kids could use it from home connections, and we oftentimes do. Professional development, obviously, is a huge, huge implication for this because we're able to expand the reach and scope of PD opportunities beyond Medill or ETF. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the size of that video and open up the chat box feature, which is located right here. The reason that we use chat box oftentimes is to ask questions. And why would we have this open? Because when we have a lot of students participating at the same time, such as when we have the debate or our poetry slam competitions, this allows us to table questions because everyone has lots of things that they want to say, and people are taking turns going around and communicating, and this allows us to table these questions and make sure that everything is discussed and allows teachers to ask questions of the classroom. Lots of different things that you can do in here. Some other teacher tools that are available. I'm going to change the workspace now from our discussion view to a presentation view. And really quick, I see that we've already had someone on the content viewer. I'm going to change the size of our video because I'm out of screenshot there. So now we have a smaller screenshot, and you can scroll up and down, and an open content viewer that is a whiteboard application that PowerPoint can be used. So you can see that this is a real teaching tool, that this is truly a tool for distance education in addition to a video conference system, and teachers use it for just that. I'm going to pop up a couple JPEG images real quick and show you just how easily a teacher could do that, or do a PowerPoint slide, very simple to use. Right here we have an image of something that I'm sure many of you attended or your students attended, which was the Soldier Field Rally, and we had over 30,000 students. Our office supported the video for that conference as well. So we go out and do all kinds of things in terms of offering live feeds, in terms of preparing graphics for different conferences and preparing the video. And as a matter of fact, Marty's probably too humble to share with you, but he actually works for Soldier Field on the weekends for the Bears and does their instant replay. And so because of his affiliation with Soldier Field, he played a very large role in that rally and was able to operate the jumbotrons and everything, and allowed us to do all kinds of really fun things with media that day. Another JPEG image that I'm going to show you right now is of a conference that we do about 6 times a year, and it's called Poetry Slam. And this uses the same tool, Safari Live, to allow students to compete in performance-based poetry, Poetry Slam. And for those of you that have seen Poetry Slam competitions, you know the importance of not only being seen and being heard, but for the quality to be such that your emotions and the drama of the event can be easily transmitted. And it's been a wonderful solution for just that. So these are the types of things that we currently support and things that we're hoping to do more of. In addition, we do at least once a week now a professional development opportunity such as this, or for other departments where we are able to get our message out to remote locations using this tool. As I mentioned before, this is also a whiteboard. So I'm going to clear the content, and all the same tools that you would see with a smart board or a Promethean board are right here, and I'm going to use this to draw an angle, and that's typically the use of the whiteboard. Is lots of times our math teachers that want to demonstrate certain concepts, or science teachers, and they're going to use this whiteboard, or people that like to draw happy faces, very, very typical of who likes to use the whiteboard. But this is just a great culmination of a lot of different technologies, from your voice over IP to your video conferencing, chat, threaded discussions, PowerPoints, and interactive whiteboard technologies, all combined together for one seamless solution. Another thing that we are able to do with this technology is to push a URL. And so why would you want to do that? Well, as a teacher is working with their students, they might want them to look directly at a PowerPoint, or as you're doing a presentation. So I mentioned Poetry Slam, so I'm going to take you to that website right now, and that should be popping up on your screen. And this is our CPS Global Rights Wiki space. And I was asked to speak with you briefly about wikis. For those of you that are familiar with wikis, you know that the most famous wiki of all is Wikipedia. So what is a wiki? A wiki is a website, but the difference is who creates the content for this website, who makes the edits, who does the changes. the community. And who is the community? Well, with Wikipedia, it's anyone that wants to participate. With this particular wiki, which is our Poetry Slam wiki, it's the students and the teachers who participate in Poetry Slam. Any student or teacher of this project, whether they're in Chicago or in New York, they can upload their writing, their work onto this website, and they can then share reflections about each other's work. It's a great way to go beyond the one-time connection of a video conference and to provide a space and place for continued collaboration. And that's exactly how we used it with Poetry Slam. This is where the students are going to upload their poetry, comment on each other's work. This is where teachers are going to upload lesson plans and start an ongoing dialogue and discussion. So it's a really great way to combine technologies and to work with different tools. I'm going to ask Mari to go ahead and close out of that locally because we're going to pop back onto the video screen. And I'm going to increase the size of our video again so that we can take any questions that you might have there on your end.
Okay, Robin, I'm going to lock up here so that you can hear any questions. I'll repeat them as well, okay?
Sounds great, Marty. Thanks.
Okay, so basically we got through that a lot faster than we did the first session. It's only the second time we've gone through a presentation like this for you all. As I said before, we've kind of been waiting a long time prior to rolling out this technology. The biggest issue we had, I think somebody mentioned earlier, you hear the feedback sometimes. The biggest improvement was that we worked with the vendor to actually put in a push-to-talk button so that we're not hearing that feedback. So one person talks at a time. You give people that access to talk by actually locking down the talk mechanism or push-to-talk. Okay, so that was the big improvement that really took this product, light years down the road for us, as well as the different camera angles that were now available. This tool currently resides in CPS. So we already own the technology. Sister Cities is one of the groups that want to use the technology, so we'll be working with your schools to bring this technology to not only your school, but to whoever your sister city is. You don't necessarily need to have a server anywhere else. You can use our server. So your sister city, school, whoever they are, wherever they are, will be given access to our server. So they don't need, the only equipment they need is the same thing that you need, which is a network connection, camera, microphone, that type of thing, which I would imagine, in many cases they would have it. This is the actual tool where, let's start taking some questions if you have any. Anybody? Yes?
Just a comment that we're always looking for opportunities to enhance professional development, and I know we have 2 campuses. We work extensively with Lincoln Park High School. This would be an opportunity for us to communicate with them. They're not far physically, but a chance for us to put a camera in a French classroom and get high school French experience for our students who are advanced learners. It's an opportunity for us to present professional development to one campus and have those that can attend or only partially attend at the other campus. I mean, the possibilities locally are very high, not to mention, obviously, communicating with the folks from Gothenburg, Sweden, or from our other sister cities.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. And Ellen Estrada from Peyton was in here a little earlier today with, I believe, the principal from Lincoln Park. Yes. And we were, Ellen had brought up the fact that Lewis and myself, when we were both over at Peyton, we had a collaboration with Von Steuben High School, and we had a Latin teacher at Peyton that for 4 years not only taught her students Latin, taught the group of students over at Von Steuben Latin using video conferencing. And I don't think the technology in any way got in the way of the learning, because I think that the students at Von Steuben fared very well in competitions, Latin competitions, citywide. So it can be a tool to share resources. It can be a tool for professional development, and I've been saying it for 2 years. The day will come where you'll no longer have to travel across that icy parking lot at Medill in January. So maybe that time is almost here, because now the technology is actually caught up with us. Most high schools, anyway, have the Gigaman connection, so you have plenty of bandwidth to work with internally. Elementary schools are now being put onto an Optiman, which is more bandwidth provided to your schools, so that you could work with this tool. The beauty of the tool is that it's not a bandwidth hog. So when you're connecting outside of CPS's network, we still make those connections quite well. The connections that you saw between the 4 cities here in the U.S. for the presidential debate that seemed to go very well. Although I think, some of them didn't quite know how to position their camera. It was very strange. In Philadelphia, all the students looked like giants because the camera was all the way down here, And in Santa Fe, the camera was on the side, and it looked like they were addressing somebody completely different rather than the groups that they were debating. So there's little things like that you kind of got to work past, but that comes with experience. It comes with actually using the tool, and that'll all be figured out. Any other questions, comments?
It still looks a little jiggly as you look at the pictures. Is work being done on that to make, I don't mean here, but is technology being developed to make it look less jiggly?
Actually, I'm going to refer to one of my buddies in the room here, Lewis. What do you think? I mean, as far as like quality is concerned,
I know
and compared,
a million times better than it used to be, but to me, it's
distracting. And we are on a. I mean, I know it looks like I'm wired here because we were trying to get a networked connection. I'm running wireless, and the computer that I was passing around was wireless, so that could actually feed into it. I prefer that when you're using a tool that you're wired within your school building, that helps.
To me, to have a large group of people looking at it, or it's better if it can be smoother. The visuals, the sound is fine. It's the visual that isn't quite fine from my perspective. I don't know. I don't know anything about any of this, so I'm just.
And it could be that it's just Robin could be very tense.
Robin worked for me at Kelly, and she actually moves that way.
Oh, that's how she moves. That's what I was saying. That's just Robin. Very robot-like. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Well, maybe you just want to explain how easy is it to load all the stuff that Robin was showing. So you can show how easy is it to load an image or to load a video. The process that you might have to go through. Because right now, I mean, obviously Robin is doing it at the other end.
Right.
But you're not doing it here.
And
so
actually, I actually have lesser experience than Robin does on the tool. Way to put me on the spot. I owe you one for that.
The question was for me.
But I'll tell you what, and I know that those are some of the concerns. How easy is it to do this? The next step that we have, working with the Office of Language and Culture and working with Academic Enhancement and Sister Cities program, is to set up training for this tool. Because exactly what Lewis just brought up and put me on the spot with is that we want to make sure that everybody understands how to do these things, how to set up the camera, how to set up your projector, how to upload a PowerPoint presentation, how to use the whiteboard. So our next up-and-coming professional development days will give us that opportunity to work with your people at the school level. Hopefully, I think the success is going to be with who you give us to train, okay? Because whoever's going to come in is going to be that person that's going to be trained. You got to realize that when you're doing connections when we're doing connections, international connections, they're either going on very early in the morning, or they're going on very late at night, okay? So we will always be on the tool to manage the tool. So I don't necessarily have to be, at Peyton or at Kenwood or anywhere. I can actually manage this from anywhere. So I could be at home managing this tool, making sure everything's going smoothly. I don't necessarily have to be at the school. What's important at the school level is that the tech person at your school understands how to actually upload your videos, how to upload your pictures, so that they can work with your teachers. Because I'm imagining that with 100 people in attendance today, 100 different schools, if everybody wanted to do 3 video conferences, there's 300 video conferences in a year. So it's the resources that are going to be necessary to run this that are going to pretty much gauge how successful this is going to be. Would you agree with that, Robin?
Absolutely, and I want to point out that this is designed as a tool for just and obviously we want someone that understands technology, but we want to point out that this tool is designed for an average user of technology. This is not like a video conference suite that requires years of expertise and training, as Marty and Albert and Louis and different folks have those type of suites under their command. This is something that most users of technology that are comfortable using an LCD projector, that are comfortable with PowerPoint and different things like that, they would very quickly and easily be trained on this and be using it the next day. So it is user-friendly, and it is designed to be something that most people can use.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody? Yes.
I just wanted to present myself quickly. I'm Gregory Smith's work partner in the Office of Culture and Language Education. My name is Amy Hammerin. So I'm the one on the side of the world languages. I coordinate all of the professional development. So I see a lot of potential because our big initiative this year is swap shops, interchanging the lessons. And if the teachers were able to stay in their classrooms and actually present their PowerPoints and present the web links or the videos for their lessons, this would be really exciting. So if you need any guinea pigs, we'll definitely pilot.
We'll definitely keep that in mind.
A lot of potential.
We'll definitely keep that in mind, and I think that Robin did a cost-benefit analysis about a year ago to talk to the district and people that would listen about the cost savings that is involved in delivering professional development this way. I think that the biggest cost savings was in the donuts and the coffee, wasn't it, Robin?
Actually, that was one of the major budget items when we looked at every budget area that is touched when you host a large professional development. It was a significant area, the coffee and donuts budget, the rental space, the food lines. Really the biggest cost savings came from stipends and substitute teacher costs. And when professional developments are held that include those two items, they can be incredibly expensive, and yet still you don't reach your full target audience just because of time and logistics, and there's a lot that goes on. So we demonstrated 10-to-1 cost savings when you do a professional development using either live video conference or our other solution, which is Safari Montage digital media, which allows us to make that not just a one-time event, as with video conferencing, but something that has a much longer shelf life and then resides on the server and can be accessed any place, anytime.
Yeah, that's a good point that Robin brings up, because for those of you that have access to CPS on demand, otherwise known as Safari Montage at your schools, if you're a high school, you have it. If you're an elementary school, there's a 1 in 3 chance that you have it, and we're working towards completing the district. But professional development, like gradebook videos, are available on CPS on demand. So instead of having to send people constantly to Medill or TTF to learn gradebooks so that they could come back and train your teachers, well, now that training is available on demand from the experts that are at Medill and ETF doing this training on a regular basis. So, huge potential. And if you, yes?
As a member of the Hamburg City Committee, I work both with CPS schools and private schools, means Catholic schools or other private schools. Would you be willing to support or share your background or this technology with these kind of schools?
Absolutely. I mean, we work very closely with the vendor. So the question was, would we be willing to share this technology? This technology is available everywhere, but the beauty is that, and what the vendor painfully realizes is that for CPS to have a server means that anybody we connect to doesn't need a server. They just use our server. But if there's other school districts that want to learn what we're doing here in CPS, we're always open to sharing, what we've learned. Rather than reinvent the wheel, I like to even go out to different school districts and see what they're doing and doing well and try and replicate it, not try and, reinvent the wheel. So we'd be more than happy to share our experiences with anyone, yes. Anyone else? Yes?
How do we know if our school has?
Well, you could contact me, and I could let you know. It used to be that we had so few that I could just tell you when you gave me the name of your school. Now I can't do that anymore. But, you could contact me. My contact information is in the binder. My name, again, is Martin McGuire. Or you could contact even Robin Gonzalez, who's also in the binder, and we'll be able to tell you if you are or if you're not. If you're not, we can tell you how you can get the service, or if you're even scheduled to get it already. We can let you know. Okay? Anybody else? All right, well, we're just about out of time. You got about, yes, sir? Well, you have Safari Montage. It works differently. This tool is managed a little differently. It's managed from a centralized location, whereas the Safari Montage system, the administrative features are managed from a centralized location, but for the most part, that tool just works in your building. There's really not much you have to do to it. In this particular case, you would need access to the tool, so you'd have to work directly through our office. And that's going to be figured out through what Greg is going to address the next steps, training, who's going to be involved, what cities we're going to be working with. So I'm kind of taking my marching orders from Greg right now. Okay? Yes?
What's going on with world language content, like video and that kind of stuff? What's going on with that?
I know, as far as like CPS on demand is concerned, I know people always ask for fine arts and more language videos. The big plus this year, we just did an OS update that all of our Schlesinger content that's available on CPS On Demand now come with all Spanish language tracks as well. So that's a pretty big bump in is what's new and what's latest. So we're kind of happy with that. But
isn't Safari supposed to have some world language content?
Unfortunately, a lot of the content providers that are currently working with us, we don't have a lot in the area of fine arts and language. So I know Safari's work and Library Video Company are working more and more towards forging relationships with providers that will give us that type of content. We're not quite there yet. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I thank everybody for coming. I've actually got a quote that I got from one of our strategic sourcing vendors here in CPS. For a microphone, a camera. Just so you know, before we end here today, I'm using the microphone that comes right in this camera, but there's also these type of microphones. It's a speaker microphone that plugs into your USB port on your computer. You might want to consider this as well. And I have quotes set up for that. So if you guys are interested but I wouldn't buy anything until you talk to Greg. Because I don't want everybody buying equipment that, that they won't be able to use till next year. So, yes. Oh, that's right. The Sister Cities group will be raffling off a camera today. With the speakerphone, I think the tripod, everything, right? The wire? Yes. So one setup like this is being raffled off here today. Good luck to y'all. Thank you, everybody.